podcast, Compulsory Moots Edition, Part 1, brought to you by the IIUM Moots and Client Consultation Club 2025. We are incredibly excited to have all of you here with us virtually tonight. Whether you are completely new to mooting or I know some of us have experience in mooting, this session is specifically crafted to help you strengthen your foundation and boost your confidence, especially as we prepare for the upcoming compulsory moots. So, mooting can be both exciting and intimidating at first, but don't worry, with the right guidance and also preparation, it can become one of the most enriching experiences of your law school journey. So, tonight's sessions aim to introduce the basics of mooting, from understanding the structure of a moot court to effective delivery of submissions and how to approach it from the perspective of someone who has been through the process successfully. So, in the meantime, just sit back and don't forget to take notes and don't hesitate to ask questions later in the session. So, now it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight, our sister Aino Shazwina. So, currently, Sister Aino Shazwina, she is a third year student in ICOL and she is also a Dean List student. And also, she was the oralist at the Philip C. Jessup International Law Moot Court Competition 2025, and she was also the oralist at the International Humanitarian Law Moot Competition 2024, and she was also the champion in Tunzaki Moot Competition 2024. Also, apart from becoming the oralist, she was also the student coach for ICOL Advocacy Competition 2025, and her team has made to top three of the overall team for the AAC 2025. Also, she was the semi-finalist in Novice Arbitration Mooting Competition 2024. And lastly, she was the best oralist in Novice Arbitration Mooting Competition 2024. So, we are truly grateful to have Sister Aino with us tonight. And we sincerely thank her for taking the time out of her busy schedule to share her knowledge and experience with us. Let us give a virtual round of applause to welcome Sister Ainul Shazwina. Please welcome.
Hi, thank you very much, Sister Najiha, for the brilliant and exciting introduction just now. With that, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. My name is Ainul Shazwina, as has been introduced earlier. You can just call me Ainul. And I promise you that today's session will be very chill in sense of you can ask me question anytime you would like to, or if you feel like you want to address the question even in chat box, feel free to do so. So before we start, allow me to present my screen. Okay, so I hope I am audible because I've started talking just now. Okay,
Yep, all good.
thank you very much. Okay. And is the slide is visible?
Yes.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum once again, everyone. So, as has been introduced, today we'll be straight away dealing with the basic of mooting by having the first mooting 8 class, and of course, thank you so much to Moots IIUM for inviting me. Please stay tuned and ensure to join their second part as well, which will be dealing with the application of law. So, what I personally will address tonight to all of you, because I have tailored this presentation or sharing session to compulsory moods students. So that is why we are going to deal with the structure and then some tips on the oral advocacy, looking at the court decorum and some tips and tricks, I would say. Because honestly, guys, I really hope that you can stay until the end of the presentation, because even me personally as a law student, I've never get this kind of experience, because it's so hard to learn mooting from your seniors or first hand if you don't join the selection. So I really hope that this sharing session would be beneficial, inshallah. So to begin with, the basic of mooting, I'm pretty sure that now, if you are taking compulsory moots, you are actually at the not the end, but of course almost to the end of the written submission, right? So before you embark on your oral submission, because these presentations or sharing will be only focusing on oral submissions, so you must be very familiar with the positions of the parties, which we have two parties in every mooting competition, appellant and respondent. So for compulsory moots, most of the cases that we are dealing are actually appeal cases. So that is why the main issue that I believe all of you will be addressing in classes will also become point of appeal. And these issues is actually focusing on appeal cases and not just merely trial cases. So that is the first thing that I hope everyone can set up at the back of their mind. Okay, so before we start, of course, for a good oral submission, we all need to know the case theory. So what is actually a case theory? So basically, as a party to any kind of mood competition, you must make sure you have the mindset of, oh, I'm actually bringing up this case for my client. So at the end of the day, despite of all the claims or all the written things that you have in your slides or in your script, you must know what is the main thing that you are trying to claim or you want to bring up from the court. So that is the remedies. For instance, I give you guys a very simple situation, right? For negligence claim, for instance. So of course the issue is, if I am the claimant or I'm the appellant, I will try to prove that this party basically had being in negligent state. Okay, so as a party, you cannot just simply put the allegations and then try to prove that, oh, these parties or your opponents had done wrong. You must know that what is actually the last claim that you are trying to bring up from the court. So that will be the remedies, so the consequences, such as, let's say you are trying to ask for injunction for specific performance or any kind of thing. So make sure before you start with your mooting submission nanti, if you guys don't mind, if I may mix my bahasa and English so that you can be easier, it's easier for you to understand. So it's really important for you to have case theory. Benda ni, it's not compulsorily for you to write on somewhere, but to have it by your heart. Because I am really orang yang macam kita kena semangat lah kan, sebab kita bukanlah, it's not always for you to represent your client in mooting competition or even in compulsory moots. It's only once in a lifetime. So in your study as a law student, so of course do your best. Now let's go and talk about structure. So this is very important because I have seen your rubrics for compulsory moots, and I believe that structure is like consists about 20 to 25 marks. So it's really important to know that even our lecturers that I call, they are very particular when you brought up your cases, you must have structure. So with a good structure, you will be very confident. So how to make sure your arguments or whatever you will say actually is structured? Okay, so we usually the mooters will prepare what we call as script. So personally, me myself, we will have scripts, but at the same time, as we are approaching towards the competition, at one point we will not use the script because we have been familiarized enough with our script. So I recommend you guys to do the same thing, which is to have your own script and practice until the day you went to submit before your lecturers or judges. So how to begin drafting your script or structure? First and foremost, you must have opening statement. So opening statement, for instance, will even take up about 5 marks. Good opening statement provides a good impression to not just the judges but also your opponent. So here, for instance, I have put some of the examples of opening statements, right? So how do we address the judges in court setting? So we will call them as Yang Ahmad Arif or Yang Arif. Or even in practice, right, we call them as my lord or my lady. So it is totally up to you. You guys need to ask your lecturer for confirmation so that what suits them the best is actually what you need to follow. So for instance, the general rule is that you use Yang Arif. So for instance, you already mentioned Yang Arif, may it please the court, my name is apa-apa-apa. Okay, my name is Ainul Shazwina, acting as counsel for the applicant. Sebut nama your client, and together with me is my co-counsel. Let's say I'm Firdaus, for instance. So In opening statement, it is really important for the first speaker to take note that you must address not just your counsel. Okay, counsel ni adalah kita lah, dah jadi lawyer nanti kan, kita panggil parti yang apa kita present tu as counsel. Kawan kita yang second speaker ni kita panggil co-counsel. Okay, so as a first counsel, you need to address everyone in the setting. So not just you, and then your co-counsel, and then you need to also address together with us the opponent, together with us the respondent, represented by Miss siapa-siapa and Mr. siapa-siapa. Okay, and then tips for opening statement, it is really important for the council because this is court setting, right? So you guys, when your name is mentioned, you need to stand up and then know the bit. Okay, so that's the practice. So make sure you are ready during the opening statement. Make sure you're not writing down or anything. You must be ready to stand up whenever your name or being called up by the first counsel. And this is also a tips. Before you begin with any kind of submission, okay, lagi-lagi waktu mula, even though you are not speaking yet, right, it's your friend speaking, you cannot look so nervous. Like, you cannot masuk-masuk terus belik-belik the bundle of authorities or still writing, tak boleh. The first impression, even though you're not speaking, you must be looking at the judges, very confident and smile. And not just smile to your judges, but also try to smile to your respondent or to your opponents lah, basically. Okay, so that is a good opening statement. First counsel must address all. The others, you guys do not need to address orang lain. Basically, you just address who you are and what parties you are responding, you are representing. Okay, so that is opening statement. I hope it is clear. That's the first, basically first thing to address lah. So second, kita akan pergi kepada issues. So we will be addressing the issues. For instance, if I read the script right, okay, Ya Arif, the applicant today appear with regards to submit with regards to two issues before the court. Firstly, whether apa-apa, and second, whether apa-apa. So this one you really need to tailor according to your submission. Basically, we can prepare this beforehand now because obviously as an appellant or even respondent, you guys have exchanged your bundle of authorities, right? I believe before the oral submission. So you can fit in like what is actually your issue. So you put in your issue tu as in sebenarnya lah kan, sebenarnya isu tu you don't need to say like first whether apa-apa, you can clearly terus submit. For instance, like the applicant, this is just for example ya guys, for instance, the applicant had comply with the international law, for instance. Okay, so these are just an examples. Next, for the issues as well, we will be addressing how many minutes we would like to reserve for our times for submission. But also to mention, from the lecturer, they say that actually for you to reserve minutes ni, benda ni bukanlah compulsory things when you come to practice. Tapi of course in terms of submission dekat I-call ataupun dekat competition, we must state how many minutes. Okay, so opening statement done, and then issues. Third is your framing. Oh, by the way guys, I am just explaining one by one. So nanti I will try to buat contoh ataupun demo so that you guys are clear how the flow works. Okay, so the third one is framing. So dekat sini, you need to ensure, especially first speaker, right? For appellant, respondent you tak banyak sangat kerja. So appellant, you kena cakap like, before I begin with my submission, would the court require a brief summary of facts? You need to address the court to ask if they would like to have any summary of fact. Okay, tapi bila you bagi tu, mestilah brief tau. Kalau bila dia dah cakap, okay, please brief us, you have to be ready with whatever you ask. Okay, and lastly is roadmap. So roadmap is actually very important because you must make sure the judges can follow through your submission. So you must make sure you address clearly that the appellant will submit on, contohlah I will submit on two main issues with regards to apa-apa. So under the first issue, you will address on contoh ada 2 grounds ataupun 3 grounds. Okay, so dalam keadaan structure ni, I hope you guys are clear. Nanti kita pergi detail lagi. Okay, for instance lah kan. Okay, for instance, this is just examples of my script that how I went through competition. Tapi nanti make sure that you guys don't copy this, okay? This is just an example. You need to ensure that any kind of examples that I provide today would be utilized according to your facts and case. Okay, so for example, a demo like Madam President, Your Excellencies. Ataupun untuk korang, Yang Arif, Yang Ahmad Arif, Yang Arif. May it please this honourable court. My name is Ainul Shazwina, appearing on behalf of the applicant, the Union of Ambrosia. I'll be further reserving 21 minutes of the court's time for my submission. Your Excellencies, since 1980s, okay, so I will treat about my context. So what is actually context? So after you greet yourself, you need to ensure you have some context ataupun brief facts tadi tu lah. So yang ni, because I usually become a second speaker, so even though you don't brief the court with the facts, you must always make sure you give some context pasal apa isu yang you nak cakap tu. So context ni basically adalah facts yang side to your case, but you reframe it in sense of very brief. Macam, oh sebenarnya isu 3 ni cerita pasal ni je, and isu 4 cerita pasal ni je. Like only 2 ayat macam tu, so that whenever they would like to understand your issue, dia faham apa actually masalah yang berlaku. So context ni basically masalah in terms of the facts itself. Okay, so that's how you do it. And after you give up the context, hence you bring up the court, hence that is why the applicant appear to submit that the issuance of fishing license in part of the Triton Shoal had violated the international law. This issue will be further supported with two main grounds of arguments. Firstly, we submit, okay, so that's how you do the submission. So I hope by this time you can see the structure is that first we will do introduction, which is salutation apa semua kan. Lepas tu second, you give out context. Third, you bring up what is your issue. Okay, dekat sini, I hope you guys are clear. There is a difference between issue dengan argument. Okay, macam mana nak bezakan? So, issue, kalau korang buka moot problem, contoh kalau korang ada moot problem lah, or even kalau korang bawa appeal cases, the issues would be the appeal point tadi. Macam, we can count the issues like, oh, these are the 4 main issues. So I as the first speaker take 2 issues, the second speaker will do 2 issues as well. So that is issues. Issue bukan argument, okay? Macam nak bezakan, argument ni adalah benda yang menjawab kepada issues tu. So contohnya, kalau I as a applicant kan cakap yang, oh actually they have violated international law. Why they have violated international law? Because of reason tadi tu yang akan jadi argument. Okay, contohnya because they have not confirmed to the rules and guidelines under this. Okay, so you must make sure that whenever you are submitting on before the judges lah kan, so you need to ensure that you differentiate. Okay, with regards to the first issues, this is my argument. With regards to the second issue, this is my argument, so that you don't mix up. Okay, so this is just okay. Going in detail again for the structure part, right? Okay, so here it comes. Tadi kita dah buat sampai roadmap. Maksudnya daripada awal kita dah ceritakan opening statement, kita dah bagi isu, berapa isu kita nak bawa, berapa argument kita ada. Kita dah lay down to the court apa yang kita nak bentangkan. So now kita pergi kepada intipati dalam apa yang kita nak bentangkan. So of course first and foremost, this one I would say macam is a additional tips lah basically. So as an applicant or even respondent, right, you can do what is called as preemption. Okay, apa benda preemption ni kan? So let's say you are representing appellant. Maksudnya you adalah parti yang cakap dulu. So of course, sebab mooting ni kan guys, dia bukan macam debate. Okay, kita tak boleh celah orang yang tengah bercakap. Kalau orang tu cakap, orang tu seorang je cakap sampai habis. So, what we do is, macam mana kita nak pastikan kita punya submission cover everything termasuk apa yang dia akan cakap. So, this is what we call preemption. So, we preempt ataupun basically macam prepare, as in any kind of argument that they will bring, you have actually covered. Okay, so that is called as preempt. So this one, it will take time definitely for you to learn how to insert it inside your structure. But I believe as soon as you dah tulis your written submission, or even when you exchange, you akan perasan that some of the point actually macam, you know, it's not relevant, or you know that the other party is trying to macam change some of the thing, ataupun to point out some of the thing that is not that relevant. So this is what we call as preempt. You sit to the court that let's say you akan address macam ni lah, even though the respondent might say this, we stand by this. Okay, that is what you do as preemption. So I would say you put it beside as well, sebab macam this is not the main thing. Again, okay, so move on to how to present your argument. So of course, after you say what issue you will submit, you will go to law. So this is another main chunk which I believe would be explained in the second class. But just to give you some macam view lah kan, basically kita akan letakkan law apa yang relevant to support our issues lah. So for instance, Your Excellency, by referring to Article 48 Clause 1 of the ILC draft articles on the responsibility for states and so on. Okay, so basically you just cite what is the law and what is the point that you are relying on. Okay, so that's how you structure your argument. You dah masukkan your issue, you pergi kepada law, and then you go to your facts. Okay, so how do you apply it back to your facts? Okay, some of you might say like macam, oh, so basically kita nak buat argument ni, kita buat macam IRAC je lah. Okay, I would say no, sebab dia bukan macam IRAC yang kita buat kat dalam kelas tu. Okay, IRAC dalam kelas tu, you basically dump all the rules, lepas tu baru nanti you dah tak apply. Tapi mooting bukan macam tu guys. Okay, mooting ni you are free to do your own structure. But for me, it is way better for you to put up your facts first, and then you mix up the law, and then you pergi facts balik. So it's like a sandwich. You put the law in between everything that you want to say. Maksudnya, only whenever it is relevant for, let's say, the law must be relevant to particular facts kan. So you guys don't dump the law macam, oh judges, you see this is my law, and then only you apply or distinguish. You kena buat one by one, like, okay judges, this is the facts. Okay, so now this is the law. What is the relevancy of the law? You will apply ke you will distinguish? Terus you apply to your facts. So it's like, if you have IRAC, right? You will have like RA, if that makes sense. Okay, but that's my humble opinion on this, how it should be structured. Okay, before we wrap up the structure part, right? I really recommend all of you to use these common phrases. So common phrases here is actually what we use in mooting. So dekat dalam mooting guys, we won't use things like macam I think, I believe. Okay, tolong jangan depan your lecturer, depan judges, we don't say like Yang Arif, I believe this case would be relevant to support. No, they don't care about what you believe or what you think, because you are a lawyer, you cannot have doubt, right? So what we usually say is we submit, ataupun we say like the appellant submits that, ataupun the respondent submits that, apa-apa. Okay, second tips is much obliged or much apologies. So what is this? Let's say you say thank you kan, tapi thank you dekat dalam court adalah much obliged. So contoh, the judge said like, counsel, can you please refer me to which part of the facts actually talk about this? And then you said like, um, much obliged, Your Honor, ataupun much obliged, Arif, we refer this to apa-apa-apa. Okay? Much apologies would be like, let's say, you miss up or you basically mess up the points, some of the points. So you would say like, much apologies, Ya Arif, if I may redirect the court's attentions to paragraph 14 of the moot problem, for instance, okay? However, again, personal remarks. I would say don't overuse this. Macam kadang-kadang orang macam baru belajar these terms kan, you keep on repeating the same things like, man, don't say like for each thing. Let's say the judge asks you, don't say every time you want to address like, much obliged, Ya Arif, much apology. No, it's like only when you feel like it is necessary to do it or to use it, then you use it, but don't use every time. Okay, contohlah kalau Ya Arif memang nampak macam, sebab tu you kena pandai read the room, you kena read the judges. So let's say kalau Ya Arif macam marah, memang macam tunggu you lama, then you cakap much apologies. Or let's say you nampak macam memang you know the judges tu kata, boleh tak you cepat sikit, counsel, can you please speed up or skip to your next point, don't baru you say like macam much obliged. So read the room. Okay, the third one is I always use like when I present the structure, I would say like, this is we submit, this is my argument. Okay, so this argument will be further substantiated with two grounds of contentions. Firstly, apa-apa, and second apa. So grounds of contentions ni basically adalah macam reason kepada reason. Okay, basically you nak buat benda yang you ada tu lebih structured lah. So kalau korang ada written submission tu kan, yang korang dah hantar tu, korang boleh ambil balik heading-heading yang korang guna and jadikan yang tu lah grounds ataupun yang tu lah arguments. It's just that the method of you saying it. Okay, next is we further relied on. Okay, this one is like whenever you're referring to law, right? How do you refer to the judges? So you said like, Ya Arif, we further relied on the case of, let's say, Donio and Stevenson, which had laid down the main elements to establish negligence in our current case. So that is how you said like, you cite the law. You don't say like macam, next, Ya Arif, the case is apa-apa-apa. Like, again, this is not presentation in class, this is mooting. So you said like, we further relied on this case, which laid down the elements, which we further relied on this case that has established the principles of apa-apa-apa. Okay? Or we further apa-apa lah. Okay? We refer to, okay. Next is, this is a very important tips for respondent. Okay, as an applicant or appellant, the first party, it is way easier for you to articulate your things. Tapi respondent, it might require your skills to always listen to whatever the parties will say and at the same time to present your stance. So how do you begin with your submission? Your structure would be quite different from appellant because you need to, at the same time when you address the judges, you need to say any counter arguments or response to the applicant submission, then only you go to your submission. So how do you structure your wordings? So my advice would be like, you can say something like, in response to the applicant point with regards to the first issue, the respondent submits otherwise. Ataupun you can, because obviously you will have the skills, right? You can listen, ataupun kalau kita dekat icon nanti memang kita ada bundle of authorities, so obviously you dah baca dah apa yang diorang nak cakap kan. They wouldn't change, no worries. They will maybe change just a little bit, but it wouldn't be a big changes basically. So you can predict whatever they want to say. So you say like, in response to the applicant's submission with regards to the negligent cases, we refuse ataupun we refute by saying that apa-apa-apa. So the respondent submits tu dah masuk your arguments. So you address dulu apa yang diorang cakap and how you counter, and then your submissions. Okay. Last things, when you're referring to authorities, I would use the phrase of, we invite the court to consider the decisions of the International Court of Justice made in apa-apa-apa, macam made in Nicaragua against United States in paragraph 74. So bila you nak ajak court untuk tengok apa-apa yang you nak submit, you boleh cakap despite of relying, you boleh cakap juga we invite the court to consider. Okay, so these common phrases are actually purely based on my experience. So obviously you can add on kalau korang ada tengok any YouTube videos or anything. Okay, so far so good ke? Because I think that okay, so because we have so far done with the structure, so this is the first part of my presentation. Yes, Haikal Al-Faraki.
No, everything is fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear with the structure. Don't worry, if you have any questions, boleh tanya sekarang ataupun nanti pun boleh. Okay, just a quick break. Yang ni adalah video yang I macam selalu tengok juga. Oh yeah, Haikal, do you want to ask anything?
Nothing from me. I know.
Oh, okay. Alright, clear. So, this is one of my favorite video in YouTube as well when I went for JESUP. Usually, sometimes, let just be frank, okay? Sometimes, we cannot really understand whatever the speaker in YouTube are submitting. Betul-betul. Kita memang, let's just be frank, we don't really understand because we don't have their mood problem and enough time to read whatever they are presenting. So, apa yang kita boleh buat bila kita tengok video mooting ni adalah sebenarnya you need to extract how they be confident whenever they deliver and how they actually voice projection diorang, style diorang bercakap, and then even how they deal with the question. So that is what you should be looking for whenever you tengok video-video mooting. You don't need to understand, you just need to watch. For instance, like just a quick
Tak dengar lah.
oh, it doesn't have sound?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Basically, the points that she was talking was just like, she said like the respondent invite the courts to consider the other cases. So that is one of the way you can apply. Alright. Sorry, I will try to reshare again nanti. We will do some macam tengok video sikit. Later on, I will adjust the sound. Okay, so now would be for script writing. Okay, so tadi kita dah habis with structures. So basically, when you have understand your structure, your flow, and your roadmap, of course you will be storing all that in script. So how do you write your script? It is totally up to you. For instance, you guys boleh tiru yang I have prepared tadi kan, macam just to see the tables, you put like this is the points. Like if I may show again, like yeah, this is like the points or the keyword, and then this is the substance. Ada lagi satu tu selalunya kita buat remarks lah ataupun details ataupun ikut korang lah basically. So, okay, whenever you do your script, right, you need to ensure that you highlight the important parts, and second, you need to prioritize your strongest points. Sometimes kita ada banyak sangat points nak cakap, but at the same time, we need to know which one is more important than the others. So what you don't need to do is that don't prepare a very long script, because let's just be honest, korang tak akan cukup masa untuk read everything inside your script. Okay? And second, don't read your script. Like your judges or your madam lecturer semua lah kan, basically they are watching you because you're submitting bukan online, you're submitting physical kan. So kat iCall pula sometimes you don't have that podium. Sometimes you have, but like during my time personally, I submitted like on memang tak ada podium. You basically letak atas table and you standing. So like if you're reading, people can see your upper part of body lah basically. So if you're reading, you're basically looking at the table straight away. So it definitely look so bad in your posture because you akan tunduk bawah for a long time. So that's why don't read your script. Okay, practice makes perfect. So always practice whatever you have written in your script. Okay. Next, I have said like prepare fact sheet. Okay, so fact sheet ni apa pula kan? Okay, so bila korang pergi mooting nanti court setting, korang kena ada fact sheet. Sebab apa? Sebab any kind of authorities that you guys have cited in your pleadings ataupun in your submission, it will not just be pass by macam tu je. Faham tak? Maksudnya bukanlah macam, oh tak apalah aku cakap je lah kes apa yang ada. Bukannya orang tanya pun. Tak. Okay, orang orang tak tanya tapi judges tanya. Okay, so judges tu dia akan macam, sometimes it will be like this happened to me quite a long times, even in IHL semua kan, macam the judge tanya macam, counsel, do you mind to explain the facts of the case, what happened in this case, or what is the judgment in this case? So you tak boleh cuak waktu tu macam, lemak nak goreng apa? Tak ada. Okay, sometimes orang boleh goreng sebab you have read somewhere, tapi kita nak maintain kita punya posture kan, kita punya composure. So be prepared for anything. So korang kenalah prepare korang punya submission dengan ada fact sheet. So fact sheet ni basically adalah your lifesaver, which is the list of cases you guys prepared, and then what are the brief facts of the case, and what are the principles or judgment that you are relying on. So it is really important to prepare this beforehand. For instance, I've prepared examples lah, some of the examples that you can do. Macam contoh, korang ada satu table untuk case sahaja, lepas tu facts dia apa, lepas tu judgment dia apa. So at least kemas lah, before korang masuk pun korang dah macam baca-baca, apa yang nak prepare before mooting ni basically macam ni lah, fact sheet, script, semua ni korang dah kena prepare beforehand. Okay. Next is citing authorities. In mooting, whenever you are citing authorities, it's not like case law yang korang cite dalam exam yang nama pun kadang-kadang salah ataupun tipu kan. No. In mooting, you need to have full case citation. Basically, you need to say like the name of both parties, and then what years it has been decided, and MLJ tu tak payah, just cakap which court. Okay, so basically court and date is very important. For instance, contohlah, I buat contoh kan, ya Arif, if you may refer to the case of Mio Atikur Rahman and Fatimah Sihi, which has been decided by the federal court in the year of 2000. This case had laid down the principles with regards to article apa-apa of federal constitution. Okay, so that's the example. Kena ada court apa, kena ada date apa. Kalau korang lagi precise, kalau ada lebih masa, you guys know paragraph apa pun okay, paragraph judgment dia, or even judge ni cakap apa. Sebab kalau korang nak cakap judge ni cakap apa, it's very nice for you to bring up siapa nama judge ni cakap tu. Okay. And another extra point, if let's say you want to really refer to that case and ambil that principles, you can even cakap dekat court, if I may read the judgment of this case in verbatim, which had mentioned. So what is in verbatim? In verbatim ni maksudnya word by word you quote. Tapi janganlah baca in verbatim lama sangat, it's just like one thing. Okay, so this is very important. How do you address the authorities? Okay, the facts and principle, just like how I said, korang tak payah lay down everything that happened, brief je macam 1-2 ayat, and then the principle tu sebenarnya paling penting. Facts tu just prepare, kalau judges tanya then only you cakap. Okay, so because why you want to have the principle being cited, sebab you nanti akan sama ada apply or you akan distinguish the cases. This is like basic MLS. If you're in second year, I'm pretty sure that you should have these skills already. Okay. Okay, this is also just a tips. Benda ni macam korang, just for your knowledge lah, not for you to say macam I have 3 cases, bukan. Okay, so sometimes as a law student, not just during mooting, but even in final exams, we have like so many cases, okay? And most of the time, macam I cakap tadi, kita dah biasa lah buat IRAC. So selalunya kita dump all the rules just like that. And sometimes we don't even like macam structure our argument sangat pun. So that is why tonight I will also be sharing like this technique lah, rule of three. I got this from fellow law student juga, tapi dari like overseas. So they said like this rule of three really helps them as a guideline. So kalau you ada banyak sangat case, sebenarnya you boleh ambil 3 case yang penting je. Pertama is landmark cases. Landmark cases ni basically cases yang memang establish the principles, okay, ataupun elements yang ada dekat dalam that particular topic. Contoh paling basic I boleh bagi adalah Donnie and Stevenson lah, okay. Second adalah jurisdictionally relevant case. Maksudnya kes-kes lokal yang dah apply dah landmark cases tu. So contoh kes-kes lokal yang praktikal, macam contoh kalau kita masih cakap pasal negligence, might be Stephen Phua Changlon, Highland Towers semua tu. Okay, so that is the relevant principle. And recent cases, contoh daripada 2020 ke 2025 lah. So this one is for you to do your own additional efforts or reading dekat LexisNexis. This is very important points, guys, because like even personally, when I go to final exam, right, I will make sure that I prepare beforehand a list of cases. But then the list of cases tu bukan main hentam segala slides tu je. Macam kita punya mind dah set dah. Like, okay, this is the landmark. This is the jurisdictionally, the practical case yang ada kat Malaysia. Dan recent tu I memang buat additional reading dekat Lexis. So that whenever you tulis kan, even final exam, you write with soul. Because obviously you want to score an A kan. Ataupun even if you don't score grade tu tepi, letak tepi kan. Of course, whatever you do your best, okay, with good intention. So letak je effort yang lebih sebab effort will never betray you, okay. So this is my tips for rule of three. You can start to see lah, macam basically kalau dalam kelas pun korang boleh nampak sebenarnya lah apa benda yang lecturer cakap melalui ni. So to recap, flow of submission. First, kita mulakan dengan intro and then context. Context tu facts tadi ya. Kedua, your point. Your point means what is your argument. What is your argument for first issue, for second issue, or if you're second speaker, third issue and fourth. Thirdly is your law. What is the authority that you're relying on? Tak payah ada banyak cases pun tak apa. You know, some people, they even win the case just by relying on the one main case. Seriously, or two main case. So you don't need to be so worried, okay? And fourthly is, but of course, they win because they can apply it to the facts very well, okay? So apply or even do some preamp so that your submission to perfect. Okay, and fifth is reiterate your point. Maksudnya, dah habis dah nak cakap tu, closing tu you kena reiterate balik lah apa yang you nak minta ataupun apa yang you dah submit. Sebab korang submit lama, lepas tu judges tu tak boleh like, you know, for all the time to follow you. So it really important for you to cakap balik. So this is the flow of submission. I think we have done with the first part, like literally first part, which is structure and submission. Next kita akan masuk benda-benda kecil macam style, your confidence, your advocacy skills and so on. So do you guys have any questions like so far pasal structure? Ke you guys ada ke tak? Cik? Oh wait, I have something in chat box.
I know, just a question.
Yeah.
So we need to pick our best argument for the submission kan? Okay, so what if one of our argument is related with our strongest argument? So how do we submit that argument or that submission?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So, betul, if I may clarify, soalan tadi cakap if your argument relates with your strongest point juga, macam tu kan?
Yes, true.
So, basically, if your argument relates with your strongest point, ataupun macam basically if your arguments tu intertwine sangat, basically you just need to submit the strongest first and then you boleh bawa benda tu in consequences, okay? Sebab there are also things that we call as alternative argument, okay? So dalam mooting, sometimes judges akan tanya macam, counsel, what if I today refuse to accept your arguments? Do you have any other alternative argument? So that is when you have macam additional point yang sebenarnya dia support je yang main point. Just my tips will be you kena pandai articulate ataupun rephrase ayat tu supaya tak sama dengan argument pertama. Okay, maksudnya dia lebih pada wording lah. Kalau substance tu sama, then I'm so sorry because I think then it might be the same argument. But if let's say it relates tapi tak sama sangat, you just need to play with the words. Like basically maybe you macam tambah perkataan alternatively dekat depan, benda-benda macam tu. Okay, so that will be my point. Don't worry, you can still submit. Just submit the strongest dulu, lepas tu submit je the second one yang related. If that answers.
Thank you, Niken.
Okay, welcome. At the same time, guys, like if you don't have macam ada any kind of confusion, please always ask your lecturer as well, right? Before you macam start mooting ke. I mean, I know it's so hard to get them answer, tapi kalau dapat tu, tanya je dulu, okay? Alright, so next. Alright, so next point is advocacy. Advocacy ni adalah skills basically. So you need to be confident, you need to be appealing, you need to be present to not just your opponent tapi your judges. Okay, dalam mooting you don't need to psychopath your opponents because it doesn't give you anything. But you must impress your judges. So some tips, you need to come early to your venue. Make sure you datang awal, jangan rushing. Make sure you have all your ties if you're guys. And girls also, you prepare all your tudung well and so on. You need to come clean. You need to smile so that you will feel more confident, okay? Jangan waktu tu lah macam mana bundle of authorities aku, semua, no, prepare beforehand. Speaking about bundle of authorities, guys, it's really important to have your own copy as well tau. Sebab waktu my time, the applicant, basically the judge tu cakap lah macam sebab dia baca bundle of authorities, so dia macam tanya macam, oh you cited this case but you don't plead it, so what about this case? Lepas tu member tu tak bawa bundle of authorities dia. So kita orang as opponent tengah tengok cases dia, so I was like, how do I pass to them? So this is things about court decorum that I will address as well. Okay, wait lah. Okay, oral advocacy, you need to, these are some do's and don'ts. So you need to make sure that you use the correct use of terms. Yang tadi ada bagi kan, common phrases. Basically you kena respect lah. Lepas tu kedua, you kena ada clear voice projection and intonation. Ketiga, dalam mooting you kena slow and steady. Jangan cakap terlampau laju. Sebab macam I cakap, judges tu dia sometimes baru je nak fahamkan your case. Sometimes they don't even read the facts of the case ataupun your I don't know you guys ada mood problem or not, but mood problem basically they don't read it. So as someone who just baru nak faham, you cannot firstly read off your script just now. Second, you cannot be monotonous. Okay, monotonous ni apa kan? Monotonous ni sebenarnya kita sometimes waktu kita submit kita tak perasan pun kita monotonous. Monotonous ni bila kita macam you cakap satu nada. Like even when you submit tu you tak ada soul lah. Basically tak ada turun naik your voice projection. How do you guys improve on this is practice. So before you submit dekat depan your lecturers, try to mix few rounds with your own teammates so that they can macam assure whether your voice tu okay ke tak. Okay, dalam moot court, moot court yang korang nak submit, korang tak boleh cakap terlampau perlahan juga because there will be aircon. So yeah, everything counts. You need to make sure you macam confident sikit and then try voice projection yang kuat tapi bukan menjerit, faham? Kuat je. Lepas tu jangan cakap terlampau laju. Okay, tengok muka all the judges so that you can read the room whether they are actually following you or not. Sometimes even if you let's say addressing some things like addressing just now I think I haven't like you can also address the judge to refer to page of the moot problem. If for competition we will have like moot problem, so we will ask or redirect the courts, for instance by saying If I may refer the courts to page 6, paragraph 7, page 6, paragraph 13 of the moot problem, which says, okay, so whenever you are referring the judge, right, or even if you're referring the judge to the case in your bundle of authorities, case nombor berapa apa semua, you cannot just read, lepas tu terus cakap apa benda. You need to, okay, bila you dah direct them to see this particular thing, tengok and make some eye contact whether they are with you or not. So let's say kalau diorang still tengah belik that things, you wait for a while and you can macam tengok diorang and then say like, if the court is with me, lepas tu diorang cakap yes, let's proceed, then you can cakap this case highlight the principles of ni. Okay, so mooting is not all about being rigid with your script, but it's about how you read the room, but at the same time macam appear very I would say macam spontaneous at the same time, sebab you kena make sure you see your judges follow you ke tak. Okay, and yeah, lastly, never argue with the judges. I think none of UIA students actually argue with judges, so it's okay. Next is court decorum. Okay, so court decorum is very important. It's like how you be polite in court. Again, we are very polite as a student, but the thing is, one thing kan about mooting, korang tak boleh cakap with your partner, like even your co-counsel. So what you need to do is bring sticky notes and A4 paper. So nanti whenever even kawan korang tak cakap lagi ke apa pun, korang can jot down some of the points that either you will need to use for rebuttal or as a respondent if you would like to respond to whatever the appellant had said. So mesti ni macam wajib memang kena bawa sticky notes dengan A4 paper. Okay, so don't never talk over the judges. Maksudnya janganlah cakap dengan kawan korang and even like suddenly you stand like when you shouldn't be standing. Okay, and then another thing about court that is very important is time limit. So let's say tadi kan waktu awal speech korang dah cakap like I will reserve 15 minutes of the court's time for my submission. 15 minutes tu korang kena adhere 15 minit je. Okay, korang tak boleh exceed. Even if you exceed, then there's a way for asking the court for extension of time. Okay, so I will be addressing that. Okay, then talk or excessive movement. Basically, you tak boleh bangun lah. Okay, sebab tu I cakap tadi, bundle of authority semua, korang kena bawa letak kat your table. Like you cannot like suddenly minta kawan jap macam paskan boleh tak? Macam tak boleh. Okay, because you might be, your marks might be deducted. So, appear ready lah basically. Okay, next is answering questions. Okay, I have seen your rubrics. And I would say like answering questions ni kan even give you like 20 marks. So memang banyak gila markah daripada answering question. So you must be ready and make sure, okay, one mindset lah you must have. Bila judges tu tanya soalan, dia bukan nak takutkan you ataupun dia nak tiba-tiba test you, jatuhkan you. No, you need to have that mindset that whenever they ask you question, it means they are following you. And you must be very happy to address them and to assist them so that they get the answer. Because whenever they get the answer and you macam memang appear interactive, you can even get like best oralies. You can even win the case bila you macam happy to assist. Okay, jangan bila judge tanya je question macam counsel what about, okay, muka you dah macam macam tu. Okay, they can see your faces. So basically, be happy to assist. So firstly is to convince the bench, and then whenever they ask question at the same time, you don't need to immediately respond. This is the common mistake that I see even as a student. Me personally dulu, I macam, oh okay, dia dah cakap je, I dah jawab. But then I see like most of the best oralies, even in world class, they cakap pun perlahan, and then whenever they would like to address the question pun one by one. So it really important for you to faham the question, then only you address. And masa you nak address, you kena address while smiling. Maksudnya you taklah macam nak marah or nak tertekan. I will show like how the best oralists in Jessup answer question. You can even see in YouTube, they all are very like polite and like very pleasing to court, and not like Josh. I have mentioned this few times. Like no, okay. So pause, listen. Some of the best oralists even in Malaysia, I've listened. Dia siap pause and cakap like, Your Excellency ataupun Ya Arif, if I may be given some time to articulate my thoughts ataupun to articulate my answer. And the judge gave, because they don't expect you memang laju gila. Okay, yang respon laju gila tu, it doesn't mean that. Betul, you can respond laju if you dah prepared. Kalau you perlukan masa, then you can ask. Tapi tak lama sangat lah. Okay. Next is prepare question bank. Okay, so question bank nanti I akan tunjuk macam mana. And then lastly, always bring them back to your case. Another common mistake. Whenever, ini sangat-sangat penting ya guys, please take note, this is very important. Bila your judges or your lecturer ask questions, some of you guys might be panic, which na'uzubillah, I hope you guys really perform well, but some of us might be panic. And kita akan ambil quite a long time to just address that particular answer, to the point that dia macam terlampau lama sampai you pun tak tahu sampai bila you nak kena address, like you know whether your question answers or not. So that is why you need to make sure your way of answering question tu interactive. Maksudnya you boleh tanya balik to the judge like, if that answers your question. Kalau dia cakap tak, then you can keep on elaborating. But if they said like, yes, if I may proceed, you boleh cakap like, if I may proceed, then you proceed. It is really important to know how to deal with questions, then bawa balik diorang ke submission you. Because if you feel like macam, oh benda ni dah lama sangat, you know you answer question je dah 5 minit, you nak submit, you ada lagi 2 arguments let's say. So, you kena tengok macam kalau questions tu actually bawa dia, macam mana? Question tu basically nak tanya pasal some of the points that you will be addressing. So, you basically can just say that, Yang Arif, Ya Arif, you have correctly anticipated to my second point of argument, which we submit that. Terus masuk argument. Okay? So that's a way, that's a technique. Basically, mooting is about wording. So kalau you boleh word your apa yang you nak request tu elok-elok, they can give you. Okay? Bring them back to your case. Ataupun kalau dah tak cukup masa, janganlah nak jawab sangat question tu to the point that you tak nak submit dah. Faham tak? Lama sangat. Okay? Sorry for being too long here, because I think this is the common mistakes. You can lose a lot of points. Okay? Okay, don't be defensive. Don't avoid questions. Don't say like, okay, whenever the judge ask you a question, you don't say like, if I may answer that later. Like, bro, that's like, no one do that. Definitely no one do that. Or like, I will answer it later. Like, who are you to delay that questions? You cannot do that, okay? You cannot avoid questions. Or you cannot, okay, this one I already said. Okay, so that is for answering questions. Basically, it's really important now guys to know how to answer question. Don't panic. Okay, how to like basically be ready so you can prepare question bank. Again, question bank ni disclaimer bukan benda yang wajib dibuat. Basically, kalau kita orang practice as a Mooters for competition, we will have this, sebab kita akan ada banyak kali training. Tapi personally for me, masa compulsory moots, I tak ada pun question bank sebab I tak sempat to have trainings. But basically I do my own questions, macam expected question the judges will ask, and then I mark dekat my bundle of authorities or even my script to include it. So if you can do a training with your friends, then it is very good to put some of the question and the expected answer. Basically ni lebih kurang macam fact sheet tadi lah. You be prepared so that whenever you ada question bank, you dah tahu macam nak jawab some question, sebab some question tu memang common ditanya oleh all the judges. Okay, so guys, this is very expensive. You can never get this anywhere. Like even if you have been in Mooting for a long time, no one codify this thing. So this is a common phrases whenever you would like to answer questions. Okay, I will read one by one lah. Okay, if you guys want to follow and okay. So firstly, macam nak cakap all these words yang kat belah kiri ni basically warna merah ni the common terms, layman terms yang kita guna. Tapi how do we address it to the judges? Let's say if you want to say yang kita agree dengan point judges tu, ataupun basically one more points or one more tips is that bila judges tanya soalan kat korang, korang kena make sure korang jawab terus. Maksudnya korang jangan bukan putar balik, like you guys don't use complicated sentence to answer. Okay, for instance, if let's say the judge asks you like, so sorry counsel for appellant, do you agree that this situation are actually in breach of international law because it has caused this? You can say like yes or no first, okay, or I agree, or macam memang ayat first tu you kena directly clearly cakap yes or no. Ataupun macam kalau dia tanya pasal facts lah kan, dia macam, counsel, don't you think that there's no point of there's no point of disputes with regards to the extraditions because it has been answered previously? Then you can say like yes Your Excellency ataupun yes Ya Arif, no Ya Arif. Okay, yes or no ni pastikan korang macam jawab je direct, lepas tu baru you pakai all these phrases. Okay, so for instance, if you want to say you agree, you can say like, Ya Arif, we concede with the judge points on this. Ataupun we understand your concern and we further submit on this. What about if you disagree because the judge is like asking question that is not on your side? So you can say like, we humbly beg to differ, as if I may redirect the court's attentions to paragraph 6, ataupun if I may redirect the court's attentions to the case of Nicaragua against the United States, particularly in paragraph 79 of the judgment. It has been mentioned that apa-apa. Okay, so that's how you say you don't disagree. You don't say like, Ya Arif, sorry, we disagree with you. Okay, you can say like, we humbly beg to differ, ataupun Ya Arif, we beg to differ because we submit apa-apa. Okay, another common ataupun famous thing you must know how to say kalau korang punya masa dah nak habis. Okay, if you guys need time, then you say like, if I may be given a moment to articulate my answer. Articulate my answer ni if let's say macam ni tau, sometimes judges tu tanya soalan when your time is actually almost running up. So most of the students or even participant kat mooting, sometimes they just completely ignore the time and straight away answer juga. You know that actually the judge tu sometimes saja je nak test you with your time management. So that is why they purposely might ask some question when your time is actually running out, because they want to see how you are being particular with the time and being honest with yourself to alert themselves. Macam how you can say is like, Ya Arif, I see that my time is almost up, ataupun I see that my time is up. If I may request for 1 minute of extension of time to answer your questions, then they will give you. Okay, so be honest, don't macam lama masa dah habis, dia pula baru tanya soalan kan, macam tiba-tiba I conclude my submission. No, you can ask. Okay, so what you can do is like, if I may be given a moment to articulate my answer, if you need time or to think, or if you want time to extend, you can say like, if I may be given an extension of 1 minute to answer. Okay, kalau dah nak habis, you bukan just setakat answer, to answer and wrap up or conclude my submission. Okay, you jangan, okay, this is very important, you jangan dah nak habis masa, you dah nak habis masa, you have a lot of argument, you still want to finish. No, we really need to respect court's time. So make sure that whatever you have, if you already run out of time, you just wrap up, you just conclude, because it might give you more marks rather than you cakap lagi lama, you lagi get cancelled by the court. So yeah, be particular about time. So next, if let's say, what about the question is unclear? Sometimes the judges punya suara tu perlahan sangat, you can't even hear them sometimes, or they ask things like macam very complicated to the point that you can't understand. It's okay to ask them to re-clarify ataupun to repeat their question. Basically, you can say like, Much apologies, Yarif, if you may clarify your question once again, or Yarif, if I may request for clarifications for the question just now. So they basically will repeat. Ataupun let's say you dapat the point tapi you macam quite unsure, so you can just macam re-ask them macam, Ya Arif, if I may be clarified, the question just now was regarding to the first and second count and whether we are agreeing on that point. And then she will note or she will say yes, and then you answer because you're sure. But if let's say you're not sure, you allow them to say balik balik balik, then you can address. Okay. Okay. Next is lastly, if the question relates to what you will say next. Okay. This is the start point that you can have or you can say is like, Ya Arif had correctly pointed out the points which I will be further addressed, which the applicant further submits this. Okay, correctly pointed out. You basically, because you need to appear very pleasing to court, so you need to bukan bodek the judges, but basically you need to macam you acknowledge the judges' questions. Diorang bijak lah basically sebab they can follow you. So secondly, you can say like, Yang Arif had correctly anticipated my next arguments, which straight away addressed the concern just now, which regards to blah blah blah. The applicant submits that, while you are talking or while you are like having all these phrases on your mouth, your facial reaction must also be pleasing. Like macam you must be smiling. It cannot be like macam, your face impression is very important because it will portray your confidence. So please keep these common phrases with you. It will help you a lot throughout your journey. Okay, next. Alright, we almost come to the end. So tadi kita dah basically deals with all the tips and tricks for your submission. Now once you dah habis submission, and then you will do your rebuttals. I'm not sure how many minutes you guys are allocating, but rebuttals is not submission. That's really important. And again, rebuttals in mooting is not completely the same with debate. I know some of you might dah pernah ada experience debate kan, tapi it's not the same sangat. In sense of you tak boleh marah macam debate. In rebuttals, you cannot be emotional. This is very important. You cannot say like, Yarif, the respondent had misled the court, or the respondent had manipulated the court. They have covered the facts. They have, you cannot be like debate, because mooting is very proper and ethical in a sense that kita cakap dia orang salah pun macam, Ya Arif, we humbly beg to differ with the respondent's submissions by addressing 3 main arguments. Ataupun rebuttals ni basically sangat-sangat simple because sometimes korang ada 2-3 minit je. So korang boleh bangun terus cakap like, Good morning once again, Ya Arif. I have 3 points of rebuttal. Firstly, we submit apa-apa. Okay, itu kalau you appellant lah. Kalau you respondents, you can say like, Ya Arif, we have 2 main grounds to counter rebut. As a respondent, you need just to counter, just to do your rebuttal, just berdasarkan points yang dah disubmit oleh pihak lawan. You tak boleh tiba-tiba tambah. Okay, so what is do's and don'ts for rebuttal? Do's, the purpose of rebuttal is to point out error, bukan to resubmit. You need to be very concise and only respond what was brought up during oral submission. Okay, this is important because I think korang semua akan dapat your opponents punya written, tapi you cannot prepare your rebuttals tu siap-siap. Okay, you can prepare, but like you don't need to macam prepare at the point that aku dah tak nak dengar apa dia cakap, sebab this is the only thing that I'll be submitting. Nah, okay, you need to adjust accordingly. Kalau dia tak mention point tu, then jangan cakap and so on. Okay, don'ts. Okay, exceed 2 points ni, actually you can exceed, but don't be like more than 4, I would say, sebab it is actually up to your time allocation. Kalau your class let's say 5 minit kan rebuttal, so boleh lah dalam lebih 2. But if let's say 2 minit je, then 2 point je lah. Okay, 2 point dah cukup. So you guys will not have many times lah. And then don't resubmit your argument, jangan submit balik everything. And thirdly, don't ever bring up new argument. Okay, tiba-tiba korang tak cakap pun waktu your argument, you masukkan benda-benda baru, you bawa case baru, you tak boleh. Okay, rebuttals is very concise. Okay, and only waive your rebuttals in extreme situation. Kalau you guys dapat judges yang practicing lawyer ataupun practicing memang judges, they will even ask you if like, do you want to do your rebuttal or not. So some parties might say like, oh no, I don't want. So you're waiving your right. So only waive it in extreme circumstances, which I think yang ni tak applicable to kita lah, because for the sake of competition or even learning, korang memang kena buat rebuttals. Okay? So ask your lecturer berapa minit. Okay, nak habis closing statement. Okay, so closing statement korang kena reiterate balik all your party stance. This one if you're second counsel, if you're second co-counsel lah basically. Kalau korang adalah first, korang tak payah reiterate semua balik sebab tak habis lagi, okay? So let your second speaker do it. Sebab tu kena reserve masa lebih selalunya untuk second. Okay? And then how do you end? So you can say the phrase such as, you senyum, you perlahan-lahan cakap like, Ya Arif, if I am of no further assistance to the court, I shall conclude my submission proper. Okay? This is the most common line. Okay. And then you can even, let's say if the court asks question whenever you're doing closing, just like I've said, you need to be mindful of time. They purposely ask you, like I've said, right? So you need to look at the time and see if you're in macam still have time or not. And then lastly, extension. Okay, sometimes you bukannya tak cukup masa sebab you tak habis, you kena jawab soalan, tapi memang you punya argument pun dah panjang sangat. So you will need more time to address your arguments, right? Contoh, you dah exceed your time. You can ask for extension, but only ask once. Maksudnya, whenever the judge had give your extension of time for 1 minute for instance kan, lepas tu 1 minute tu pun dah habis, you tak boleh nak tanya if I may be given more extension of time. No bro, your marks will be like, I would say for the time management, it might be very low then, because you can never ask more than once. Okay, only ask once. Itu pun kalau boleh janganlah tanya, because when we go to competition, right, all the coaches akan cakap like, you need to be within time. And of course, as a student, benda tu lah yang paling susah kan, sebab kita kena practice. Tapi like I said, sometimes judges yang you yang you sit in you, kita panggil judges yang sit in tu basically yang dengar you lah kan, they are okay with extension. So jangan takut untuk tanya lah. Okay, for instance, how you might ask for extension is, Yang Arif, if I may request for extensions of 2 minutes to conclude my submission. Okay, so they will give you 2 minutes. Sometimes you can ask like 1 minute, up to you, but don't ask like, if I may be given 5 minutes, that's like over kan. So like max I would say 3 minutes 3 minutes. If they feel like 3 minutes too much, they themselves akan cakap 1 minute je, so you terus masuk. Okay, so again, read the room, adjust accordingly. Okay, this is this rubrics. I am sharing these rubrics. I don't think it's like it might not be the exact rubrics you have. So what you need to do as a compulsory Moots students, you must have your own course outline by this time, because you are doing your written, right? So you must be looking at the rubrics for your oral submissions. Make sure you check benda apa yang paling banyak markah. Okay, don't waste your time doing benda yang tak banyak markah, ataupun care too much about opening. Kalau opening 2 markah je, okay, so look at it accordingly lah. So I've said before, the authorities is the most the chunk of your marks. Okay, next is your ability to answer question, is your chunk as well. Presentation ni lagi satu, I lupa nak cakap about your use of word, one thing, but another thing is eye contact. Okay, make sure you maintain your eye contact with your judges. Jangan pandang bawah terlampau lama, ataupun jangan pandang your script ataupun dinding ke apa. It's very important in mooting to maintain eye contact, sebab the judges will look at you. because they want to follow whatever you're saying. So if you can convey whatever you have learned before, whatever you have prepared for your submission, macam sambil eye contact, then they will have more confidence to give you the winning. Tapi kan macam question dia orang akan tanya like kenapa, macam mana actually nak ada confidence. My answer would be prepare. Once you're well prepared, you will be confident. Believe me, in any event lah kan, kalau korang tak kisahlah apa English not that good or anything, like no confidence, once you're prepared, you are well ready for the submissions. Okay, and then time management. Alright, so actually that is all from me. Yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, because we have wrapped up the first mooting at class just now. Yay! We have to talk about the structure, we have to talk about the style, we have to talk about the authorities. We have yet to, because macam mana nak apply distinguish tu nanti waktu the second class, which is I hope you guys masuk the second class nanti, it will be physically at iCall. Yang tu dia Mr. Jaafar will address. So now I'm opening on the floor to any kind of questions that you want to ask. It might be informal, apa-apa pun boleh. Even about learning ke apa. Okay. Or like any part that is unclear. Aku rasa macam ni. Are there any questions? Okay, there's no question so far. Oh, okay. Yes, yes, Akila.
Hello, Ainul. Good evening. Okay, I'm Akila, and I have one question actually in regards to your advice tadi yang you cakap it is totally okay when we answer judge question with a straight up layman's word, macam yes or no. Is it considered rude if you cakap yes of course yang Arif? Is of course considered macam terlalu chill with the judge, or is it okay? That's all. Thank you.
Alright, thanks Akila for asking questions. So, basically like yes or no, or even of course. Of course, is okay. All these words are not considered informal sebab at the same time, kalau you get the judges yang macam you know that they are not memang official judges macam dekat court, yang real court, then it is super okay for you to say. But then, as I've said before, it is just one layer yang you boleh cakap macam yes or no, or of course. It doesn't bring up to informal things. Lepas tu you kena cakap macam yes, Ya Arif, and we further referred you to this point of authorities to further substantiate, or like we further relied on this and this. So just for the sake of 1-2 words, then it's okay. But okay, let's just be safe. Don't ever use of course or obviously in a way that you sounds like you make the judges question to nampak trivial, or like degrading them. So for better, or for to be safe, basically don't say like obviously judge macam of course macam tu kan. Okay, don't sound like that loud. I meant like you can say like yes, Arif, of course we have considered this apa-apa. Okay, that's like how I would suggest to do. If that answers.
Yes, I know. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh yeah, another thing, you can even ask like the judges whenever you have addressed the questions. Kalau you tengok muka diorang unsure, you can ask like if you macam if that answers or if that address your questions, because they will really appreciate it. Okay, let me look at the textbooks. Okay, Brother Akil. During rebuttal or rebuttal session, can we elaborate on the point since the time given is short? Okay, since the time given is short, you obviously you can elaborate, but it doesn't give you the room to elaborate to the point that you resubmit everything. Okay, elaborate is very different than resubmitting. Of course, bila kita buat rebuttal, we will mention like this is the first point of my rebuttal. So you disagree with this point, and then you will elaborate. You will elaborate this point. You bukannya rebuttal kan, you lay down, oh I have 2 points of the rebuttal, then this and this. No, you will still elaborate like why you said this, because let's say you said macam we disagree with the points of violations of international law because the reference made by the respondent to the case of apa-apa had actually disregard the importance of other principles, ataupun you boleh cakap yang they are only relying on dissenting judgments of the case. In fact, your Arif, in fact your Aslansi, if I may redirect the court's attentions, the majority remains standing apa-apa. So next, you can elaborate like, but then it doesn't be that long. Okay, it doesn't go so long to the point that you submit balik. Okay, so Harry has question. Okay. While addressing questions of the judge, if okay. While addressing question of the judge, if it is related to our second argument or submission, do we deal with it a little there and move on, or we go fully on the argument first? Okay. I think this now also ada like some of the explanation for this. Basically, if question 2 relate to your second argument, you need to see lah the questions tu, faham tak, you nak reply terus in sense of you nak terus jawab one liner je, macam satu ayat je, ataupun you nak terus masuk pun boleh. If it's me, I deal with it terus in a sense of macam, contohlah kan macam Ya Arif tanya ke, so I gunakan the phrase this now like Ya Arif had correctly anticipated the second point of arguments with regards to the applicant submissions on this. We submit that as, ataupun tak payah submit, like we answer these questions by referring to apa authorities dia. So instead of masuk your argument, you pakai je bahan untuk your argument tu to answer in a bit. Then you masuk your argument properly. Okay, it is really up to you, ikut keselesaan you. Because I feel like the only points you need to avoid from doing is repeat the same point. So as long as you don't repeat the same point, I would say it is up to you whether untuk deal with the question or not. Tapi it is very very good if you deal sekejap je and terus masuk. Kalau benda tu memang brings to your second point, then masuk terus, because as I have mentioned, sometimes judges boleh tanya questions above questions ataupun in questions. Even when you are answering, the judge might question further. So to be safe, just go into your argument, because at least you save more times there. So it's like about skills lah. See with your time as well. Okay. If there are any other questions. By the way, I think I am also. Wait, I feel like sharing.
Or how the just answer question, is it?
Yeah, how the just the 2025 just answer questions. But I'm like retrieving the videos. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can even ask. Okay, so let's say thank you for bearing with me. I'm just gonna share it in a bit. Okay, so let's say, I hope the sound is there. This is the examples on how the best or least answer questions lah dekat dalam international round.
To the convention itself and to world-known jurisprudence are continuous acts. And those continuous acts may well deploy their effects well beyond the critical date. Then what would be your position? Would that trigger or not jurisdiction?
This court's temporal jurisdiction would still be excluded. And I note that Judge Robledo's question goes to, for instance, the jurisprudence of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, where it's been determined that enforced disappearance is a continuing act to the extent that it has not been acknowledged by the state. And this also engages questions of perhaps Article 14 of the Articles on State Responsibility. But here,
saying that in order for the court to find in your favor on this point, we have to find a customary provision that applies here? I'm confused because you started your argument by referring to two particular treaties, so we would have thought we'd be directed towards the interpretation of the treaties, in particular the treaty involving enforced disappearance.
to clarify, Madam President, here we accept that those are the two relevant treaties. However, here Article 9 and Article 11 of the International Convention provide
Okay, so those are like examples of how you can also watch videos and skip accordingly. Like you don't have to listen to the full submission if you already have your substance, but you just want to see macam their voice, macam mana diorang jawab soalan kan. So see how she made it very simple, like to clarify Yarif if apa-apa. Okay, so in the meantime of your preparations, you can of course know your substance well, like prepare your substance in and out throughout your submissions. At the same time, you can look up for the videos. Maybe you can try to imitate some of the speakers yang memang you personally like. You tengok orang yang sama je tak apa. So you try to present ataupun try to submit in front of the mirror or in front of your friends waktu macam few training rounds before submitting in front of your lecturers. So yeah, that shall conclude my sharing session today if there is no further questions. And of course, I will be passing the floor to any representative of Moots Club to further add on anything. Thank you very much for your time and indulgence, everyone. I hope that this sharing just now really helps you a lot in preparing yourself for compulsory moots ke, selections ke, for mooting. You don't ever be afraid of learning and trying, because even if you make mistakes, right, we as still learning as a mooter pun kan, the mistakes will gives you more, orang kata, something to ingat, lebih more reminder rather than the winning time. Okay, so it is very okay to make mistakes because we're not a practicing lawyer yet. Okay, if there's any further things, anyone from Moots Club? Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Ines.
All right, so
Thank
thank
you
you.
very
Thank you,
much.
Sister Ainul. All right, so before we proceed with our closing session for today's event, do we have any more questions from our participants today? No? All right, so I guess that brings us to the end of tonight's session. On behalf of the organizing team, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our speaker, Sister Ainul Shazmina, and to all of you for being part of this program. So before we officially close our program, we'd like to invite everyone to stay on for a quick photography session. So for those that can actually turn on their camera, please do so. All right, so anyone else would like to turn on their camera? The boys, perhaps? All right, so hi, Harriet. Anyone else? So do we have anyone that will screenshot our photography session today? We have. All right.
Yeah, I can do that.
Do you need me to count or something?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
All
guess.
right, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so thank you once again, and may tonight's sharing benefit us all in our mooting journey. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. And good luck as well.
All the best, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Iman. Thank you for coming. Right, Munjit, are you here? Have you saved the recording?
Sekejap tengah nak end.
Yeah, just stop the recording and then save it.
Stop recording.